This video was created to demonstrate how to a sales budget. The example we're going to use to work through a sales budget is presented in front of you. And we're going to produce a sales budget and the schedule of cash collections that kind of flows from the sales budget for Royal Company. And what you have to realize about the whole budgeting process is that the sales budget is the most important budget prepared. It really serves as the foundation for many other parts of the budgeting process, like the cash collections, the production, how many units the company is going to produce based on production, what do you have to purchase, and how does that impact the income statement, among many others. In order to get a good feel for what a company's sales are going to be like in the future, companies would analyze their marketing plans, look at any unfilled work orders that would be left over from other customers. They would have a look at what's happening in the economy right now, what's happening in the industry right now. So there can be many other factors to consider as well. Preparation of the sales budget, since it's the most important, takes most of a company's time and effort to prepare. So, but it's not difficult to prepare once you have an estimate of the units that are going to be sold or the sales in dollars. For this example, Royal Company is a manufacturing company, and we're going to prepare the sales budget. We're going to prepare a production budget, direct materials, direct labor, overhead, finished goods, and then we're going to turn all of that information into a cash budget and a budgeted income statement and a balance sheet. I'm going to break the videos into different or smaller units so that you can watch them in smaller chunks. And you won't have to sit in front of a monitor listening for an hour or so, because it takes about an hour and a half to kind of go through the whole budgeting process to show you a really good example. All right, so what we're going to do is get started. I chose Excel as the tool to present this to you because Excel or spreadsheets, any kind of spreadsheet, would probably be the tool that companies use to prepare a budget. And we're going to start our sales budget. I have the example of the question in front of you, and we're going to just prepare the sales budget just below that. So I'm just going to type in a quick heading here for Royal Company and sales budget. Now, budgeting or the sales budget really doesn't have a specified format like you would for the income statement or balance sheet. But as you go through a few of them, you'll find that it's easier to prepare a sales budget if you kind of use the approach that we're going to put the months across the page. So we're going to prepare a budget for the second quarter of the year. So we're going to start with April. And I love the feature in Excel where you can just click on the fill handle here and it will fill in the names of the months for May and June. And then we're going to put a total. So that's pretty much going to be our column headings for the sales budget. And down below, we're going to put or calculate sales in units. I'm going to put units in brackets here because sometimes it's difficult to tell if you're calculating units or if the number is in dollars. And we're also going to calculate sales in dollars. I'm going to make column B a little bit bigger. And I'm also going to format my budget so that I get some numbers that have commas, but I don't want decimal places and I don't want dollar signs. So I'm just going to go to Format Cells, and then I'm going to go to Counting. I'm going to choose No Symbol, and I'm going to choose No Decimal Places. And then when I put some numbers in here, it's going to put the comma in and not a dollar sign. So I'm going to put 20,000 in for my estimated sales for April. Remember, these are in units, and I'm just getting this information from the schedule from the question in the text box above. And then I'm going to, for May, our sales are 50,000, and for June, our sales are 30,000. Now, it's really good to put totals in so that we can check our work. Okay, now our sales, we also want the sales in dollars as well as units. So I'm going to go over here and I'm going to add our selling price to the top of our budget. And our selling price is $10 a unit. I'm going to enter that in a cell up here. So if, as I go through the budgeting process or analysis of industry trends or some other marketing ideas, I might decide to increase the selling price or decrease the selling price. And if I include the selling price as a cell and use it as a reference as opposed to putting it in my formulas, it's so much easier to change. So I'm going to use this selling price to calculate sales in dollars. So basically I'm going to use a formula or create a formula. I'm going to take the 20,000 units and I'm going to multiply it by the selling price. Now I'm going to use or change the cell reference of F20 to be an absolute cell reference just by hitting my F4 button. And the reason I'm doing that is so that when I copy my formula over to the other cells, it's going to still use that $10 as the reference, and it's not going to change it. So when I double click on my calculation for May, you can see that it's using the $10 and it's multiplying it by the 50,000. If I want to check my formula for June, just double click on the number and it's using the $10 times the sales in units. All right, so I'm just going to do a quick calculation or total here, and I'm just going to copy it down from cell above, and those dollar signs, of course, means my cell wasn't wide enough, so I just changed the width. The other piece of information that you need to take the sales budget and turn it into how much cash we're going to collect, we need to know how much of the sales are going to be collected. And in the text box, you'll see that we have 75% of the sales that are recorded in the month are going to be collected. And the remaining, the other 25%, is going to be collected in the following month. So I'm going to create another part to the sales budget, and I'm going to call it my schedule of cash collections, or just cash collections. And over in the side, I'm going to write April sales. And we know from our calculations above, in April, we're going to sell $200,000, but we're only going to collect, in April, we're only going to collect 75% of that. So I'm going to take the cell and multiply it by 0.75. The other 25% is going to be collected in May. So I'm going to take the April sales and multiply it by 0.25. Then we're going to go on to May. May sales. And in May, our sales are $500,000, so we're going to collect 75% of those sales in May, and then we're going to collect the other 25 in June. Now for June sales, we're going to collect 75% of the June sales in June, and the rest of those sales are going to be collected in July. Those July sales then become accounts receivable, and that's one of the numbers we're going to end up putting on the balance sheet. So I'm just going to calculate some totals here so that we can check our numbers. I'm going to add up sales, and you can make some references, and you can just double check your work by having a look at the total for April and making sure that it's equal to the April sales that we have in the sales budget above. The same with May. In May, the sales were $500,000, and in our sales budget, $500,000. In June, though, we've got $225,000 being collected, and you'll notice the difference when we compare it to June sales above. There's a difference of $75,000, and again, that $75,000 would be accounts receivable on our balance sheet. So accounts receivable at the end of June would be the difference between the sales and the collections. So that gives us a piece for the next budgeting part that we do when we do the balance sheet. I'm just going to put some totals down at the bottom as well. Label over here. I'm going to use a quick formula that I can copy down. And again, when you compare that total of $925,000, that's the total collections that we're going to collect in this quarter. And when you compare that number to the total for sales, you will find that they're different, and that difference is what's going to end up in accounts receivable at the end of June. So it's also $75,000, which is what we already calculated. The next budget that I'm going to demonstrate will be the production budget, and I'll do that in a separate video. So if you want to have a look, the link listed for you, and you can listen to that one when you're ready.